Hello, hello, hello. Antphrodite here, your pop culture psychic. Back to you again with a new astrology birth chart video. So, Nikkie Tutorials recently did a video doing the Zodiac makeup challenge, which I think James Charles did, and I did do a reading on James Charles. I did a astrology birth chart on James Charles, so go ahead and click that here. I did it with as much accurate information as I could find on the internet. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. But today, in response to Nikkie's video, we're going to do a chart reading, an astrology birth chart reading on Nikkie Tutorials. So, before me, I have what I could find on the internet. Some of the prominent placements in her chart. And I'm going to kind of go over them. So the goal of this is to kind of see if we can sort of understand her a little bit more, why she does the things she does, experience the things she experiences, but also to kind of connect you, if you have similar placements, and to her, or perhaps sort of understand yourself a little bit better. Now, I will start off by saying this is all alleged for entertainment purposes only, as well as the fact that astrology is something that I've loved to do and have dove into since I was 12. And I used to do chart readings. I don't currently at the moment just because they require way too much. And I'm super busy with tarot requests and private readings and things like that. But I am by no means the number one expert, amazing astrologer. Astrology to me is something fun that I'm really good at, but I don't think that I'm going to be your number one source for all astrology news. But I do think that I have a unique way of understanding astrology and explaining astrology that does set me apart from other people. So hopefully nobody gets too upset over that, or don't feel like I'm stepping on any toes. I'm literally just sharing what has helped me, because what I love about astrology is that it's helped me understand myself, and it's also helped me understand other people. And I've been able to have a lot of people, what's the word? I guess I should say I've been able to kind of have harmonious connections with people I normally wouldn't have, thanks to astrology helping me understand situations. So hopefully I can help you, and if that helps you, then that's the goal. So by all means, let's just go ahead and get started. So right off the bat, Nikkie Tutorials did tell us what her ascendant was. So I found some of this other information on the internet. Again, I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to go with it. But what I am seeing here with the ascendant in Cancer, the sun in Pisces, the moon in Scorpio, okay, the Venus in Pisces, the Jupiter in Scorpio, the North Node in Scorpio here, that's all water energy, okay? She is made up of pretty much only water. She is so watery, it's ridiculous. It's water and air. That's it. She has a severe lack of fire in her chart. So one of the things right off the bat, before I even get started with this ascendant, is if you're going to lack tons of fire and you're going to lack tons of earth, she's going to be drawn to people who are grounding and people who are passionate. So sometimes charts like this, especially if you yourself have a lot of water, they get involved with people who may not always be the softest, because they're looking for something that they lack. So you do sometimes see people with prominent water be friends with people who are dramatic, over the top, in drama. You will also see them sometimes drawn towards people who are very aggressive, go-getter, and you'll also see them drawn towards people who ground them and bring them back down to earth. So that is something that happens. A lot of times we look at charts like these for people who have prominent water, and people are always like, well, why are they around this person, and why do they like that person? And it's because they have something that they wish that they could have more of. So there's some sort of fiery, feisty energy in them that makes them crave that. Now, the other issue with having prominent water in your chart is inaction. These people freeze up when it comes to confrontation. These people freeze up when it comes to situations that require an immediate response or immediate action. These people are prone towards kicking themselves in the ass and be like, damn it, I should have did this, or I should have said this, I should have done that. You're going to see a lot of that with prominent water. They have to feel things through first, and they have to process. A lot of times when they're younger with tons of water, they have impulsive reactions, and then as they're older, they learn to just move inward. So there's a lot to go over and dissect with that. So let's just go ahead and go piece by piece. So right off the bat, ascendant in Cancer. Now, Cancer is like the mother. So ascendants in Cancers ascendant is the first thing people see of the masculine in public. So the first impression of a Cancer is, aw, family, safety, security. That's the first vibe you get from Cancer ascendants. Sometimes they have like cherubic-like faces. They also say that sometimes Cancer ascendants will have softer skin or a softer vibe. I know that I have seen a lot of girls with Cancer ascendant have nice boobies. Even if they're not always the biggest, they always have nice boobies. Because it is the mother, honey. But either way, it's more of like this like nurturing, calming, like sweet, family, gentle vibe. It's rare to have an ascendant in Cancer who has an aggressive vibe. Usually that's going to be because of prominent fire in the chart. I will say ascendant in Cancer is always looked at as someone who is naive or gullible. When people first meet them, they're kind of like not a threat. A lot of times being underestimated is a strength for ascendants and Cancers, because first impression is harmlessness, but if they're talented and they know and they're capable of doing what they need to be doing, they can surprise people. So let's go into the sun. So obviously we know that she is a Pisces. So Pisces is the fish, okay? And they are a duality-based sign, so they are very much people who are kind of obsessed with mirroring things. You'll notice a lot of the things that they think about or talk about, there's always like, they're very much like two sides to a coin. It's similar to Libra and Gemini, where there's like this sense of duality. It's hard to describe, but if I told a Pisces this, would be like, oh yeah. Now, with Pisces energy, Pisces is naturally creative, right? You're not going to really find a sun in Pisces who isn't somewhat creative. The problem is that it's the sign of the dreamer, okay? They're daydreamers. And Pisces has so many great ideas. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, Pisces are probably some of the best people that'll be makeup artists. I've seen tons of creativity come from Pisces with makeup, especially recently. And they're very artistic and they're really good with their hands. Like they're very crafty people. You see a lot of people in fashion and art with Pisces energy. But the problem with Pisces is that you have all of these great visions and all of these great ideas, but you're not the ones that are going to be able to execute that half the time. So what they have to remember is that the work ethic part is not natural. So again, we're lacking a lot of earth in this chart. So for her, work ethic is something that she has to have instilled in her, probably was instilled in her because we know that she's a hard worker. So it probably was instilled in her when she was younger. But that's something that has to be instilled in you through like, you know, your environment and the people around you and maybe your parents and stuff like that. Because Pisces is known for slacking off. They get lost in their fantasies, they get lost in their ideas, and they're similar to Gemini in where sometimes those don't come to fruition. Now, also with Sun in Pisces, they are escape artists. So when shit gets rough, Pisces will run to their fantasies. They are so often stuck in their fantasy world that they can become delusional, and what they say and do is not real. We see a lot of Pisces like, oh yeah, but it'll be fine because X, Y, and Z when it's not logical. Like, they're not known for logic. They're known for the opposite of that. They're like the antithesis of logic. And so sometimes that works out in where they are able to dream up this amazing scenario, put it on paper, and make it come to fruition. But other times they dream up this amazing scenario and it's so unrealistic, they're looked at as like delusional. And when they're escaping, there's no, like, you don't know where they go. Like, Pisces will literally disappear and vanish because they need to escape into their world. And so sometimes, and now this is more for a Mars in Pisces, but I do notice this in general with Pisces energy because Sun, is ego and sense of identity. I forgot to say that. I've noticed this with some Sun Pisces. It's the truth, honey. When they escape, they're prone towards overindulgence. So we see a lot of Pisces fish drink like a fish. Sometimes they're smoking a lot. Sometimes they're just only drawing all day or watching that television show all day just to escape. I mean, oh my God, do they love a good binge watch? Because for them, it's like, I'm going to get lost in this character. And they're very character driven when they do things too, because it's like, oh, but where are they going to go with their life? And is this going to happen? Like, Pisces are a sucker for a romantic story. 100%. Like, you bitches are literally all about that romance. Whereas, you know, maybe a more aggressive sign or more logic sign, be like, this doesn't make sense. Pisces like, but isn't it an amazing fantasy? You know, there is that level of like romanticizing ideas, idealizing things like that, which we'll get into with that Venus in Pisces. But for now, with the ego, Pisces, the other thing that they have to be careful of is that Pisces is not known for being any sort of aggressive. And Pisces is known as being wishy-washy. They don't stick to their word because they're always thinking about things can get better and maybe this person will change, or, and so the problem with Pisces energy when it's in the sun is that they're walked all over on constantly and they allow people to do whatever they want. They're very wishy-washy. They're known for being pushovers. And so we look at the Mars placement to kind of see if this person will be more defensive or more upfront, and we'll get into Nikkie's in a second. But because it is an Aquarius, which is not the easiest one to deal with as a Pisces. But when we have Sun in Pisces, we have to make sure that we're not just floating, because Pisces are floaters. And if you're just going to float, girl, where are you going? Get some direction, honey, and you're going to need a rope to save yourself. Because I always say that Pisces are literally the best suited for Big Brother, because on Big Brother, the only people that make it to the end are the ones that are boring and floated the whole time and never had a personality. That's Pisces. They're like, I don't want to cause any problems. I just want to exist. I'm going to draw in my book. 3 hours later, oh, y'all are fighting? I'm drawing a circle. And you look at that circle, honey, and you're like, really? You spent all day drawing that circle? That's literally Pisces. They're usually not known, usually you oh, the Pisces is harmless. They would never hurt a fly. It's very rare that a Pisces would be anything like that. The only issue you're going to have with Pisces, and this is why a lot of people have gotten burned by them, especially in love, is they sell the same fantasy to multiple people. So when your fantasy and bubble of delusion is popped, you're going to go to the next person and sell the exact same one. So a lot of Pisces will be in a relationship with someone. Oh my God, they're romanticizing it. This is the best person ever. I'm in love with them. Oh my God, they're amazing. They're the number one. My Cinderella story falls apart. The next person, oh my God, I'm in love with them. It's the best story ever. It's my Cinderella story. And then the ex will look at them like, bitch, you said the same thing to me. And so they can feel some type of way because they'll sell that same fantasy. We also see Pisces conform to the energy where they're around. Prime example of this, I don't know if any of you watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta, but Cynthia Bailey is a Pisces, and she is literally quintessential Pisces. Oh my God, is she like the best example of Pisces ever? They always call her wishy-washy. They always say people can get one over on her very easily. They always say that for her, also fashion, she's very creative, but they always say not only would she never hurt a fly, but they always say she floats and she just exists. And so you guys have to remember, at the end of the day, your personality is still important regardless of who you're around, because let me explain this to you. So Pisces is the last sign in the Zodiac. And so a lot of times they're a little bit wiser than anyone realizes because, it's the 12th house. So all the other houses are there. And they say that it's like the garbage dump of the Zodiac because each sign, there's a piece of each sign in it because it's the last one. And they're known for absorbing their environment and collecting the energy of everyone around them. And they're known for holding the weight of everyone else's responsibilities and crap forever. And so that's why they're prone towards escapism, because they want to avoid that or release that. And so they need proper ways to release it. That's why a lot of them go into art to release that, because if you're around garbage, you start to stink hardcore with Pisces, and their friend groups shape who they are. They'll act one way around one friend group and another around another. They literally are so susceptible to the people that they're around. Think of it as almost being natural empaths. It's like you guys literally absorb your environment. So if you're around bad people, you become a bad person. Hardcore. Some people can keep that line very distinct. They have a harder time doing that because they're so naturally forgiving. So make sure you don't absorb and then, sort of escape. Make sure you absorb, release, and enjoy yourself. They become some of the most empath-related people. Empath inclined people, because Pisces is someone who wants better for humanity. They want to make an impact in the world. They want to better the world. They want to, have the helping hand. Scorpio, Pisces energy is all about charity work and helping the underdog and really giving back and caring about people and wanting humans to kind of have that connection. So let's move on to the next. So Moon and Scorpio. So these aren't going to all be as long as the Sun. The Sun is just a big one. So Moon and Scorpio. So Moon is your emotions. And so here's the thing about Nikki in general, okay? When your Moon is in Scorpio, first and foremost, that is a very, very intuitive placement. Scorpio energy you're going to know things before you know things. And they are probably some of the best judges of characters that you'll ever see. So in saying that, that helps her tremendously, because normally a Pisces is going to be naive and stupid and have people kind of get one over on them. But because she has that moon in Scorpio, she's smarter than people think. And the problem with moon in Scorpio is that Scorpio is known for being a little bit power driven. It is a power driven placement, and they are prone towards revenge. So the problem I'm having with her moon in Scorpio, and this is something that she's probably worked on by now. Usually it's harder when you're younger. Moon in Scorpio loves revenge. Okay, they're totally based off revenge when it comes to emotional hurt or emotional pain. But again, Mars is how we act that out. Either way, we're going to see a lot of feelings of wanting to get back at someone with the moon in Scorpio. It's going to be channeled in art though, because of all this Pisces energy that we're seeing. It's like, I want to get revenge, I want to get back at them, I'm going to channel this into my art. So it's going to be someone who's naturally good at being inspired by their own revenge and frustration. It's going to be rare that you're going to see her take that out on someone. However, her chastising the people that were allegedly blackmailing her, not surprised to see that from a moon in Scorpio, because when the going gets tough and when the tough gets going, that moon in Scorpio will rear its ugly head and be like, bitch, I say one word and scare the shit out of you. They do have an intimidating aura that only comes out when they have been wronged. Now, moon in Scorpio does hold on to things forever. They have to learn to let go of feelings, because they will totally be, the moon in Scorpio will be the person that drinks poison expecting it to hurt you, but all it does is hurt them. They have got to learn to release. They always deal with issues of resentment, betrayal, frustrations, and revenge, especially when they're younger, and they have to learn to kind of let that go, because Scorpio can be obsessive. It's like a dog with a bone sometimes. And when it comes to emotions, it's hard to let go of that. You know, I'm lucky in some sense because I have a Gemini sun and an Aries moon. So for me, I feel something really quickly and then I lash out or let it go and then it's gone. But that's not going to happen for a moon in Scorpio. It's going to sit there and fester for a while until they learn how to let it go themselves. And obviously it has its strengths and weaknesses, but yeah. So with moon in Scorpio, the other thing we have to remember here is when it comes to self-sabotage, this is the number one moon placement for self-sabotage, because constantly you'll see moon in Scorpio feel so intensely and it'll sort of get reflected on themselves. So we do see a lot of people who feel like they're not good enough, who self-sabotage, people who feel like I'll never get anything, lots of self-doubt, because they're so about their feelings. And most of the time, especially someone like her with all of this water energy, will turn inwards. And so sometimes we do see inner destructive activities with them. And so they really have to learn to treat themselves better, because the positive side of the moon in Scorpio is that they're able to utilize emotion to enact power dynamics that are healthy and enact change, because Scorpio makes an impact. So if the moon is in Scorpio, they're people who are able to lead by example when it comes to holding in your emotions or letting them out in an appropriate fashion. We also see moon in Scorpio as someone that's very protective. You're going to see super protective energy with moon in Scorpio, like, bitch, you're rolling me, what's up, sting, sting, sting. Like, they're very much like, they learn lessons about emotional power dynamics at a young age so that they can have them in a healthy capacity when they get older and are given that same sort of power. So like, you'll see them as a lot of times you'll see moon in Scorpio as someone's rock, and also someone who's overcome some really challenging emotional wounds. I will say for her, the one thing I will mention, and I doubt she'll ever watch this video, but if you're going to have a moon in Scorpio and a sun in Pisces, she needs to be a bit more cutting edge. I think for her, I know her image is like a little bit more simpler and maybe not family friendly, I think for her, she needs to be more edgy. The moon in Scorpio says that there's a lot of edgy energy inside of her, and I don't mean offensive. I mean like cutting edge and like really pushing her art to kind of make a statement. I think that that's so important for her, and we'll get into that with that North Node, that she needs to really start going more of a like impact route. you're going to start to see her really be able to kind of force people to talk about things. And so I think it's important for our content to really go there. Now, let's move on. So Mercury is communication, and it is retrograde. So again, not 100% sure if this is like amazingly accurate for her chart. I am just finding stuff on the internet. So either way, hopefully it helps someone out there. Now, when planets retrograde, it means it slows down almost to a halt, like it's moving backwards. And so we'll go through Mercury and Jupiter really quick. So when Mercury is retrograde, it means that our articulation is sometimes a little bit harder, sometimes we're a little bit slower to understand things or to speak them, and sometimes our voice, we have to learn to project it a little bit more. Sometimes our thought processes are just a little bit off to most people. So it just means we have to learn to sometimes overcompensate or work harder to be understood. And with Jupiter, I always make this joke about Jupiter retrograde because Jupiter is luck and expansion. And when it's retrograde, some people are like, oh my God, you're unlucky. For me personally, what I have experienced with people who have a natal Jupiter retrograde in their chart is that when it rains and it pours, both good and bad. So for them, for most people, it's like I get something good, I get something bad, I get something good, I get something bad. For people who have Jupiter retrograde, it's like I get 3 things that are good and then I get 3 things that are bad. It's like all of a sudden the skies open up, I get 50 things that are good, the skies close up, it's 50 things that are bad. Like for them, it's more of like a lot at once and then quiet and then a lot at once. Anyways, back to Mercury. So her Mercury's in Aquarius. Now, Mercury in Aquarius is Mercury's communication. Aquarius is usually a good sign in Mercury for collecting knowledge or data. These people like to research. They like to look things up. They like to really, absorb. The problem we have with Aquarius is that Aquarius is literally the sign of friendship. And they are so shaped by other people's opinions that sometimes they can adopt their friends' opinions if they haven't researched enough. Sometimes they can mimic people. We do see Aquarius as, I'm going to be honest, the single white female sign. We do see a lot of Aquarians mimic. They kind of take things and put them on. They kind of wear other people's identity sometimes. And so when Mercury's in Aquarius, just because they have all of the knowledge doesn't always mean that they're able to make the decision about what they believe. However, they do like to research, they like to read, they like to understand. The problem is like when it comes to like, hey, like what do you think? They're not always the best. And when it comes to their communication style, it's a little bit cold. Okay, now luckily for Nikki, she has so much water that she'll overcompensate. So the great news about this is that when she talks, normally if she had a bunch of water in her chart, to be like, oh my God, it's gonna be an emotional mess. You never really understand her. But because she has that kind of cold, chill, cool, effortless, chic, hipster-like quality of the Aquarius and the Mercury, when it comes to expressing herself, you're gonna get facts, you're gonna get what she feels that in a healthy manner. So like think of it like all this water is getting a little bit doused out by some of the air of the Aquarius and you'll be fine. Here's the issue with Mercury and Aquarius is that Aquarius is the water bearer, so it will totally sometimes overflow and just say and do something crazy. They are the people that you least expect to say something crazy that will say something crazy because that water overflows sometimes. Now, Mercury in Aquarius is someone who also is very much a, when they say like, oh, you're a girl's girl, Mercury in Aquarius, okay? Because they're very much friend-oriented. Like, I'm going to talk to my friend all the time. I want to talk to my friend. I want to build my friend up. Like, they genuinely care about that. And Mercury in Aquarius is someone that has too many hobbies, okay? Because whenever they see something new, they're like a puppy dog, like, ooh, a new hobby, ooh, a new hobby, ooh, a new hobby, ooh, a new hobby. They get kind of obsessed with it. Like, you'll totally see Mercury in Aquarius as someone that's like, oh my God, I love reading. Have you read this book? And someone's like, yeah, well, have you read this book? And they're like, okay. They go and read that book. And in the book, someone's talking about drawing. They're like, oh, I want to draw. Let me learn everything I can learn about drawing so that I can start drawing. Rather than just picking up a pen and paper and drawing, like, I got to learn everything about drawing before I do it. So sometimes they need to relax. Now, Mercury in Aquarius, I'm going to be honest, okay? There's a little bit of negative with everything. Mercury in Aquarius can totally be pretentious if they're not careful, okay? Sometimes we do see low-functioning Mercury in Aquarius like, you don't know that? That's sad, huh? It's very like, well, actually, if you didn't know, like a well, actually, bitch. You know that bitch I'm talking about? The well, actually, bitch? Yeah, they can totally be that. And they can also be the kings and queens of like, well, I liked this before you did, and I knew that before you. So, listen, bitch, we're all in this together, okay? I was about to sing, honey, but copywriting gonna get me. But yeah, anyways, let's move on. So Venus is love, beauty, and relationships. So Venus is in Pisces. So for what I'm about to say, Venus is love, beauty, relationship, Mars is sex, passion, aggression. So these two are your relationship planets. Now, Venus, I've realized, is kind of like how we want to be treated, and Mars is kind of how we treat others sometimes. In general, Venus in Pisces does have a problem in love because they believe the best in people to the point of being naive and delusional. Unfortunately, I have noticed that Venus in Pisces is always falling in love with the potential of who someone is rather than who they really are. And so when we have Venus in Pisces, it's like, make sure we are actually seriously falling in love with the person and what they're expressing rather than the ideal or what they think they are, because it's like, I fall in love with your potential. I believe in you. I know you're a starving artist, but I know you'll make it one day. And then you're there for 10 years and they're still a fry cook and they never actually picked up the guitar they said they were going to pick up in 10 years ago. So like, make sure you're careful about not getting played with that Venus in Pisces. And I think that that's something that is very prominent right now for her, especially with the reading that I did on her, which I'll put up somewhere over here. The reading that I did for her, with her blackmailing situation, she needs to be very careful and not naive when it comes to her relationship, and she needs to not sugarcoat things. She needs to not like be like, oh, it'll be fine, we'll work it out. No. Make sure she does the work, make sure she irons things out, because Venus in Pisces is totally going to fall in love with someone who's like, they're so sensitive and soft and they would never hurt a fly, but at the same time, they also are going to fall in love with that person who has so much potential but never reaches it. They have to make sure they find someone who marries the two, that has these great ideas but also has facts to back it up. And I do think Venus in Pisces does always benefit from a really good Judy, like a good girlfriend that you can be like, girl, am I crazy? Or like, does this sound crazy? Is this really going to happen? Like, is this real? Or is this like, they need a reality check sometimes from their friends when it comes to their relationships. Now, that doesn't mean that every relationship is bad. And I don't think her relationship is bad anyways. But it does mean that sometimes getting down to the seriousness of a relationship is terrifying. Again, what did I tell you guys? Venus in Pisces avoids. She admitted that she was avoiding a lot of things in her relationship. That is what they do because they're so terrified of that confrontation. They're so terrified of that situation that sometimes they're just like, oh, somehow it'll figure its way out. Somehow it'll work out. Sometimes you got to sort of, face it. And they're also usually attracted to people who have some sort of charitable-like quality to them. They really, really like a humanitarian-ass bitch. Like, they live for that honey. So now, the other thing with Venus and Pisces is they like super romantic shit too. So like for them, it's like you got to do some really romantic things, some really corny and cheesy romantic things. Not too corny, because if we're going to go super corny, you're looking at Venus and Leo. Just saying, I have one of those. But Venus in Pisces is more like, give me that romantic letter that you probably mimicked from The Notebook. Like, give me that like movie thing that like is like obscure. Don't like take me to the ball game and do something crazy and wild, but do something that's like, oh, that's sentimental and cute, and you probably learned that from a movie, and now I feel like, I'm, like for instance, she like Venus in Pisces is like, yeah, girl, like float on the iceberg and go after my thing that fell in the water. You know what I mean? It's very that. Okay. So Mars is passion, sex, aggression. And so when we see Mars in Aquarius, first of all, when it comes to their passions, Aquarius, too many. Like I said before, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. Okay, cool. You're good at all those things. How do we put them together? Because Mars in Aquarius will literally be like, what, bitch? Pick and choose what to put your time into or marry the two. Okay, because there's totally a scattered energy. Now, the one thing I will say about Mars and Aquarius is that they're pioneers and innovators, okay? Because Aquarius is not going to do something that someone else did. At least that's what they like to tell you. The real tea is that they really did single white female and copy that shit from someone, but then they literally had changed one thing and now it's theirs. That's the real tea about that Mars and Aquarius, okay? They'll be like, I never copy anyone. I never did anything. Girl, they'd be like, okay, she did all that in pink. I'm going to do that all in red. Like, they love to do that. Now, they are going to take existing ideas and reinstate them, and it is going to be different, and they are going to be people who are pioneering, but girl, don't try it. I know y'all got that inspiration from somewhere, okay? And I think high functioning will agree, but low functioning Mars and Aquarius will be like, I invented the toaster strudel. Like, no, girl, you didn't. Now, when it comes to sex, Aquarius is definitely someone that will try anything once. They're totally more based around what their partner has experienced. They never want to feel like they're left out, so they're totally like, usually it's rare to find a Mars in Aquarius that isn't open to trying something once. They're usually people that have a specific kink. Some of them haven't realized it yet, but it does happen. I won't go super in depth with that because you guys are gonna be like, but I mean, hey, girl, I've seen a lot of Mars in Aquarius that have been in open situations too, so I'm not gonna knock it. If you love it, good for you. Now, when it comes to aggression, Mars in Aquarius sucks. And so this goes back to her being a Pisces and needing to stand up for herself. Mars in Aquarius is like, oh, there's a problem. You no longer exist to me. You're dead to me. I don't know who you are. Okay, that's not healthy. Because they will literally cut a bitch off and never speak to them again. There's no confrontation. There's no discussion. There's no closure. There's no understanding. They'll even do that in relationships. It's like, oh, who? You'd be like, oh, yeah, what happened to you and Betty, girl? You and Betty were good friends. I don't know who you're talking about. Very Mariah Carey, I don't know her. Meanwhile, they've been best friends for 30 years and they knew everything. It's like one day woke up and all of a sudden cold detached, because Aquarius is someone that is very cold and detached when it's in Mars and it's pissed off. And it's like, oh, really? I don't need you. I'm replacing someone else. I don't need you. I'm replacing someone else. I'm replacing someone else. And they'll totally be friends with someone who's just like you. So like you, it would be like, oh, I don't like bitches like that. And then they're like literally friends with a bitch just like that. So they're totally remove, replace. That is their energy. They have to learn that bottling up their feelings and then remove, replace, especially their anger, bottling up their anger and then remove, replace is unhealthy as shit, and it comes out eventually. You know, Aquarius is the water bearer, especially Moon in Aquarius. They literally will bottle up their feelings and it'll go all over the place. So when Mars is here, it's like they'll bottle up their anger and it'll go somewhere that it shouldn't go. And they are prone towards taking it out on the wrong people. Fucking especially Pisces, girl. Y'all bitches love to take your energy on the wrong people. Absorb all the energy around you. Come home. Be like, you know what? You a dumb. It's like, what did I do? Meanwhile, you're really mad at, you know, the girl you work with. Okay, so now Jupiter is in Scorpio. This is a small thing, but what I always tell people is like Jupiter is where your luck is in your chart. So what I always tell people is like having a little bit of more of like this and indulging a little bit more in this side of you will actually help you. So Scorpio energy, being more driven towards power dynamics and healthy power dynamics is always going to be beneficial. Being in a position where I can make an impact, always beneficial. And sometimes holding really tightly to something does benefit this Jupiter in Scorpio. Because Scorpio, I told you guys, it rules the 8th house, okay? So, you know, they're all about death and rebirth. They're all about power dynamics. I mean, they deal with other people's crap. Like, you're going to see a lot of benefits towards some of the intense things in life. Some of the things that are not always the easiest. I've seen Jupiter and Scorpio, especially Jupiter in the 8th house, honey, I have that. But Jupiter and Scorpio, sometimes they benefit from other people's loss or other people's frustrations because they're dealing with the issues of everyone else around them that they'll benefit from. Now, North Node is in Scorpio, and so this is why I'm not going to go super in depth with this particular Jupiter placement, because I'm going to say the same thing for the North Node placement. These two go hand in hand here. So North Node is your life path, and so essentially what I'm saying is the Jupiter energy needs to be power dynamic based because of the Scorpio. So North Node is your life path, like I said, and Scorpio is meant to be a leader. They're meant to be someone who's in charge, and they're meant to be someone who makes an impact. Every North Node in Scorpio learns healthy power dynamics. They also learn what not to do. So you'll see a lot of North Node in Scorpio be screwed over by people in position of power. You'll see them screwed over by employers. You'll see them screwed over by friends. You'll see them betrayed quite often. They deal with darker sides of things because eventually they're going to rise to a position in their life or in their career where they're going to be held responsible and held accountable for their situations, and they're going to be in a position where they have to lead properly. They're supposed to be like, okay, got it. I know exactly what not to do. I know how to handle the responsibility. I know how to handle the power. And I know how to handle leadership. This is what I'm supposed to do. And also, they're supposed to learn to be a little bit more intimidating. North Node in Scorpio says, guess what? I understand you have all this water energy. You want to be nicer, kinder, sweeter, gentler. That's not going to get you very far for very long. You do need to have some bite to your bark, because if you don't, people will walk all over you. And so, like I said, it's all about personal power. It's all about, you know, making sure that we obsess over the right things, not the wrong things. make sure we understand that revenge is not always necessary, but being able to take the failure or the loss there and apply what I should be doing, and then rising above the person that screwed you over is a better form of revenge, aka success. And so like they're learning all of that, and they're going to learn how in their life they're going to be put in positions of power and impact. Again, not surprised that we see a North Node in Scorpio here for someone who is dealing with a lot of situations about being trans, and dealing with a lot of hatred from that, whereas being a YouTuber at a young age, having a lot of the weight of the world on their shoulders, a lot of the responsibility, a lot of eyes on them. I'm not surprised to see her deal with Jupiter in Scorpio, North in Scorpio, and even Moon in Scorpio. There's a ton of Scorpio energy. I'm not surprised to see her deal with people who are blackmailing her allegedly, or betraying her, things like that. That is the energy of the Scorpio. And I know a lot of people get scared of 8th house placements or Scorpio energy, but as someone that has a prominent 8th house placements, it's misunderstood. We're learning about those terrible things so that we can become survivors, not victims, and that we can teach other people how to get through those things. Because if people don't experience them, they can't understand them, and if they don't understand them, they can't help you get past yours. And so we're always leaders who lead by example. Now, for me, my North Node is in Capricorn. So for me, my situation is not so much about power as much as it is about establishing myself and providing, and leaving a mark. For her, Scorpio energy, or if you have Scorpio energy, it's more of like, I'm in this position of power and I need to make sure I use it right. So that's kind of what I see for Nikkie Tutorials birth chart. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you subscribe to me and hit the bell for notifications when I upload next. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok. Antphrodite, I'm uploading TikToks. There is a link in the bio to, not a link, in the description, there's my P.O. box if you guys want to send me anything. And let me know what other birth charts you want me to do. Let me know what you thought of this. If you liked it, if you hated it, let me know, girl. And until next time, bye guys.